Now, for the past 12 months, I've been putting together what would have to be the most advanced sales training program ever. And I base it on the earnings of the top 1% of salespeople all around the world. I call them the super sellers, and it doesn't matter what industry or what segment of sales that they're in. They're the ones at the very top that keep staying at the very top because of the way that they sell and the method by which they work. Now, one of the things that top sales performers know more about than most other people is the concept of selling. Is it based on need selling or is it based on want selling? Well, if you want to know the truth, need selling is nice, but wants selling is where the money is. And that's what you'll learn throughout this video. Now, the three things that I bring to your attention in this video because of want selling is it's why most salespeople or the best salespeople make the most money. It's why most people using this concept or the best salespeople are always in the top of the ratings, and it's why these people are granted the most referrals than any other segment or cluster of people in the selling industry. So enjoy what I present because it's life-changing, but I provide it for free because I've been asked to do this because the industry needs this more than just about anything else in professional selling. Now, there are a couple of things you need to know because in today's modern selling market, and it is a modern selling market because things have changed dramatically. It's not what you sell that actually gets people to warm to you, it's how you sell. You see, the more complex the selling is, the more the how factor on how you sell is important to your client. Now let me take that a few steps further. A lot of people have been selling on the basis of needs. Well, it doesn't work that way. Needs selling is dead. It's been dead for the past 40 or 50 years. I stopped teaching on needs selling more than 40 years ago and gravitated towards wants selling, which is the way to sell. And the most important thing is when you're selling on the basis of wants, you're selling what the prospect wants to hear, wants to know about, and wants to do something about personally. It's important because every part of selling is unique, but wants selling is what makes the selling factor work effectively. In the more than 40 years that I've been training salespeople, either in small business or the SMEs, which are the medium-sized enterprises, or even corporates, I purposely will find a slot where I bring up needs versus wants selling. Now, I usually do that about 30 minutes before I'm about to take a scheduled break. And I go through the processes explaining the difference between the two. And then once we take that break, so many will come up to me and voice their opinion. But in a lot of cases, because they've heard a lot about want selling and the justification of it, they want to sit on the fence. And they then start to tell me they believe that both have a place in the selling process. Well, I ask them just to take a break, have their coffee, do whatever, and I'll explain in depth why need selling and want selling are so far apart. And there's a problem with needs selling. It becomes an issue. Now, the biggest issue here also is if you change your needs selling and adopt want selling immediately, I'll guarantee your sales will double, treble, or whatever the case may be. In fact, your closing rate will go through the roof because you're now, for the very first time, working at what the prospect or client wants. They only want to buy what they want. It's that simple. My name is Peter Collins, and I've been a professional salesperson now for more than 56 years. I've also been training salespeople at various levels for more than 45 years, and believe it or not, I first started managing people more than 54 years ago, salespeople, and a lot of those have turned out to be excellent salespeople. So it concerns me that this debate of whether people buy on the basis of needs or buy on the basis of wants has gone on for this long, because I personally stopped training on the basis of needs and concentrated to help people sell more on wants. That's right. I'm a wants devotee in sales. Now, the things that disappoint me with people that have concentrated on need selling over those years, I've seen so many people leave the industry because they weren't selling up to their potential because they concentrated on needs selling. I've also seen so many people leave the industry because they concentrated on needs selling and found the going far too tough. Now, if you're concentrating on needs selling, I want you to listen up, because I have 10 points I want to bring to your attention that hopefully will help not only with the way you sell, but the volume you sell and the way you now close sales. So if you listen intently to what I do, I'm sure that you'll find more information than you believed possible. Now, the first point that I bring up, I'm sure is going to be extremely controversial, and I'm sure I'm going to step on a lot of toes. And yet, I make no apology for what I'm about to share, because what I'm teaching here in this video series is advanced sales training. I'm not talking about mediocre, I'm not talking about intermediate, I'm talking about advanced sales training. And the majority of people in the small business area with maybe 10, 20 or 30 employees will concentrate on needs selling. They don't know any better. They came up the ranks. They didn't do very well in sales, but the company couldn't afford to take the best people off the road and turn them into sales trainers. And what they did is they brought these people that didn't quite make the grade and brought them into sales training. And many of them have been sales trainers year after year after year, but what they're producing are people at their level, not at the highest level possible. And that to me is an absolute disgrace for the sales industry. And I say that also without reservation. Now, the second point is, it's not what you sell, not where you sell, but how you sell that will make your prospects warm to you. Now, I say that because I've been selling now for the past 56 years, and in most cases very successfully. And the one thing I can tell you is people will warm to how you sell because of the way you understand the selling process to work. And most importantly, that is at a level most people in general selling will never experience, because they won't see how the prospects warm to them and want to buy from them based on their ability to present at a very professional level. My third point is extremely basic, because wants and needs selling are so far apart, it's not funny. The fact is that people buy based on emotion. And the only way that you can bring up emotion into a selling environment is to concentrate on prospect wants, not their needs. My fourth point is that needs selling so often can be assumptive selling. And the issue here is, the more you assume, the more you tend to dominate. And people react badly to anybody that wants to dominate in any form of conversation. And remember, selling is a high-level form of communication through conversation. Now, my fifth point is an extension of my fourth point, and it talks about needs selling as well, because here I want to make you aware that needs selling is a form of control or a form of domination, because the minute a salesperson assumes what's good for the prospect, the minute they'll then want to back up their assumption with their own beliefs. And the minute they do that, the prospects feel uncomfortable, and once uncomfortable, the majority of prospects will not buy because they start to doubt what the salesperson is conveying. My sixth point centers around customer satisfaction, because customer satisfaction can only come to the surface when wants are being presented to the prospect. Now, if they don't get what they're after, they don't get what they want, don't try and sell them what you think they need, because you will fail on each occasion. My seventh point is that needs and wants will always be in conflict, and whenever there is a conflict between needs and wants will always win out. Now, at times I've seen salespeople actually force their prospect into a corner because they want to get their message across on how important needs are to the prospect. Guess what? Paint a prospect into the corner and watch them decline, because they don't like the pressure. People put under pressure will find a way of getting away from that pressure. Never forget that. The eighth point is a very important one, because prospects resent being told what to do or what to think. That's right, they resent it. And once you start to resent something a salesperson is trying to sell you, you're going to decline no matter what is said, what is done, what is proposed, because you are still the buyer and you still have control over your purse strings. The salesperson does not and should not assume that they have any control whatsoever, because they will always lose. The ninth point is something that every salesperson should take on board, because it's so subtle, it'll reel you in every time and you'll come out the loser. And that is, any salesperson that believes they know what's good for the prospect is in trouble right from that thought pattern, because the dictionary says a belief factor is something which is not based on facts. It is based on assumption. So here we go again. We're assuming what's good for the prospect because of what we believe is good for them and nothing else. Keep going down this track and it'll be another reason you don't make a sale. Need selling in so many cases can be confrontational, and whenever confrontation is brought into the selling process, the prospect has every right to be offended, because most of them are, and they'll take that offense silently. They won't say anything. They'll just simply decline any offer placed before them, and they'll refuse to have anything more to do with that salesperson. It's that simple. So don't get into a point where you create confrontation or any form of offense. Now, as a final note, my suggestion is stop needs selling immediately. That's right, just stop it. It's manipulative, it's confrontational, it's offensive in many cases to people, and yet you wonder why you're not selling? Well, the minute you start to adopt want selling instead of need selling is the moment that you'll see your selling start to soar. It'll grow exponentially. You'll sell at times you never thought possible. But most importantly, not only will you sell up a storm, your closing will improve exponentially, but on top of that, you'll start to bring in referrals, good quality referrals that set you apart from other people in the selling industry. Now, let me bring some reality into this situation. Most of us will never use the word want when we want to buy something. We use the word need. And we'll say to ourselves, I need a new car, I need a new computer, I need a new suit. And then to justify what you bought, you say, I needed that car, I needed that computer, I needed that suit. See, the irony is between your ears, because most people don't understand the buying process, they don't understand the selling process, and therefore confuse the two. They tend to justify their wants with the word need. And this is possibly the main reason why needs selling existed in the first place and keeps on existing decades and decades later, even though people do not buy based on needs primarily. What I personally find fascinating about the needs and wants concept is we talk to ourselves about what we believe we need. However, the reverse applies when we don't make a sale and we then talk about what they didn't want. So look at this next segment and take on board those two factors, because to me, it's more than just ironic. It's the human mind pattern or the human mindset that brings in the two differences. And the irony here is, it doesn't matter whether you're selling into the small business sector, into business to business, into SMEs, which are the small to medium-sized enterprises, even the corporates or even retail, the same equation applies. Because once you walk out of a call, you'll never say to yourself, these people didn't need what I had. You'll always say, these people didn't want what I had. Take that on board, because that is the bottom line. People don't talk that way when they miss a sale. They talk that way, the basis of needs, when they confront people to buy from them. And I use the word confront because when you start to make assumptions, it's both a confrontation, and people get offended by confrontations, back off, and tend not to buy. That is the bottom line, and it's as simple as that.